Friday again. It's Friday again. July 24th? Friday. It's definitely Friday. The first cup of coffee is so good. As you can tell, or guess, by the venue of the video, it is not good outside. It's wet and dreary and possibly raining. I didn't go outside. I just looked outside and said, okay, we're in today. And I'm feeling chilly today, so I'm wearing my Vitamin D by Heidi Kiermier. Yeah. I just noticed how loose these sleeves are. Oh, well, it's fine. It's a loose, it's got a waterfall front. I really enjoyed knitting this sweater. I finished it on our last big vacation, which was a year ago, May. We took a Viking river cruise from St. Petersburg to Moscow. That was a wonderful trip. We've had all wonderful trips. I was thinking about that. I don't know why it came to my mind. While I was making the coffee, but we've had so many wonderful trips, and the places we've visited have been so amazing that we've really only crossed one thing off our list of places to go. We've only been one place where we said, you know, glad we came. We won't be back. And that was the Galapagos. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. It was a wonderful trip. We had a good time. We went to Machu Picchu, which is really amazing. We have done that in the last 3 years, so I talked about it on a podcast long ago. But we were at Machu Picchu and Cusco, which is very high, so got acclimatized in Cusco because it's in the Andes. And then, well, we started in Lima for a day, and then we were in Cusco. Then we went to Machu Picchu. And then we flew to Quito, Ecuador. Can you hear the bird? He's sitting out on my pot with my mint in it. And that was what they call a pre-trip, so we added that on so we could go to Machu Picchu. And the trip was a combination of the Amazon, Upper Amazon in Ecuador, and the Galapagos. And that was the second time we were in the Upper Amazon. We had been on a river cruise of the Amazon River, where the Amazon began. And so this was the second time we were there. Birds are right there, right outside my window. And the Amazon was amazing. You saw like every kind of monkey you can imagine, and that was nice. But that was from a lodge. The first time we went was from a riverboat. And then we went to the Galapagos, and we were on a small ship in the Galapagos, just our group. There were 14 of us. on a small ship that looks like a yacht. And we went from island to island. And the Galapagos is really interesting. In a kind of intellectual way, because, you know, the whole evolution theory came to Darwin because he was looking at the animals that were in the different islands of the Galapagos. They were separated by some distance, and so the finches on one island had different beaks than the finches on other islands. The tortoises on some islands were different than tortoises on other islands. Some tortoises have like a ridge, an arc at the part of the shell that the neck is, so that they can raise their heads, because they have to eat. There's no like ground cover. They have to eat off of short bushes. So they have to be able to raise their heads, and turtles can't raise their heads very high when their shells just go rounded and straight by their neck. Things like that. So the turtles were fascinating, and we did see tortoises, and we did see them at a rescue where they had all different kinds, because they were rescuing and breeding the tortoises and then reintroducing them into their particular island, and so they were very different. And there were some beautiful landscapes, and the snorkeling was amazing. If you're a snorkeler, oh my gosh, the snorkeling was amazing. But when you're walking around on the islands, you can barely tell it's a finch. You can't see their beak. We didn't see any other tortoises, you know, so the whole cachet of the Galapagos is really not visible. I mean, Darwin caught and killed his birds and, you know, looked at them really close. Obviously, we were not doing that. So anyway, and it was brutal. Of course, we were there in March, and the sun was, you know, and it goes over the equator. So guess what happens in March? The sun is right there. So it was brutally sunny and hot, and for the most part, except in the one town, there is no shade. There, you know, we were on islands that were too young or too windblown or whatever, and there were no trees. There were some bushes you could like sit on the ground under, but it was really brutal. But the snorkeling was good. But anyway, that was the one vacation, and we were very glad we went. We enjoyed the trip, but we wouldn't go again. I don't think. There are many places we haven't been that we want to go to, including New Zealand. I had a wonderful conversation with my friend Megan yesterday and her husband Malcolm. Hi, Megan. Hi, Malcolm. Of course, it was Friday there when we were talking. So, turns out that 8 o'clock in the morning there is actually 4 o'clock here. It's 1 o'clock on the West Coast. So, I was ready at 1, and then I got to thinking, and she didn't answer my text, my message, and I'm thinking, so I, you know, asked Google. Well, I actually asked DuckDuckGo. And said, you know, 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time equals what time in New Zealand? And it came back and told me that in Wellington it is 5 a.m. I'm like, okay. So I messaged her and said, actually, it's 4 o'clock here, which is, you know, which works perfectly well for me because I'm home. So we've talked for quite a while. And it was really nice to talk to her. It had been quite a while. She wasn't even back to work when we talked the last time, and now New Zealand is like, no, not even masks. They're better. Their problem is New Zealanders who are coming back to New Zealand from the rest of the world. They have to be in quarantine for 14 days, and you know, she was complaining that people were getting caught breaking quarantine, going to the store and stuff like that. But you don't have to wear a mask or anything because they've got COVID eradicated in New Zealand. So there is a way to do it. It doesn't hurt that you're an island with a smallish population, but something about having competent government. Enough said. So I knit yesterday. I'm still working on my Every Way Shawl by Andrea Mowry, and that's coming along. I'm enjoying knitting it. It's moving fast. I said to Megan that I've been thinking about it, and I thought that I might be able to do the same pattern that I did the color work on one side. I might be able to do it in mosaic and make it look the same, but no wonder I'm not sleeping well. I was laying in bed last night thinking about it, thinking, I may not be able to do that in mosaic. So I am going to do a swatch. A mosaic swatch, and see if I can recreate that pattern, that diagonal lines in mosaic. And maybe do mosaic on the other side if I can do that. But I am not confident in that. This is the yarn that Dennis found down the hall. That was my little ball, but look how neat it is. It was a little ball of yarn, so I don't know why it's so neat. I'm not complaining. I'm gonna roll it up, and I just saw it here. Roll it up and use it for my mosaic test knit, my gauge swatch or test swatch. So anyway, all is well here. My knee's bugging me. I'm not sleeping. And nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Except, so this is a week since I've done my Carnivore. If you're not interested in that, you might want to fast forward, because I do know some people don't want to hear about it. The Carnivore eating has gone so well. I'm so pleased. And I enjoy it. You know, in June, I was fasting every other day. I was trying to figure out how to get back in control. You know, Corona, food problems that I am not alone having. And so I was fasting every other day in June, which worked, except that I really didn't enjoy it. And I stopped it a little bit early. And after I stopped it, I just went crazy. So, and I think in part it was that, you know, so many days of me thinking about food but not being able to eat. So I thought, you know, I'd try the Carnivore. The Carnivore is an elimination diet. I mean, you just eliminate everything. The plants have, I think it's leptins. Could be lectins. I should have looked that up if I was going to talk about it. But who knows what I'm going to talk about when I sit down. Which are toxins, you know, because animals can run away or turn and fight, defend themselves, you know, burrow into the ground, stick their heads in the ground, whatever, when they're in danger of being eaten. But plants can't do that, and so they actually have toxins in them. I mean, as you know, there are many, many, many plants that are poisonous to people. But in general, the toxins are not against human beings. You know, they're against whatever animal would be dangerous to them to eat them too much. And so they have, you know, some form of toxin. And those toxins, you know, while not directed at human beings and not deadly, for, you know, obviously in our food, they're not deadly, and they're even, it's not necessarily obvious that they bother us. But they do bother some people, and some, you know, there are things that people can't eat for one reason or another. Vegetables that people can't eat for one reason or another. And it's highly likely that it's these leptins that are in the plants. And so if you are having, lots of inflammation in your body or whatever, if you have autoimmune disease and, things like that systemic problems or whatever, it's often good to do an elimination diet, which means, you just take things away, then you see if you feel better, and if you do, then something you stopped eating could have been causing your problem. And then you slowly can add back things if you want to figure out which things are the problem, and then you can avoid them. So carnivore is like the ultimate elimination diet. I'm having eggs and dairy. Some people who are carnivore don't have dairy. They find that they don't tolerate dairy, and so they don't eat it. For myself, I don't have autoimmune disease or anything like that, and I think I've gotten my inflammation under control with my keto diet, but obviously I was eating too many carbs and had something going on, so I decided to go to what is sometimes called a no-carb diet. It's not the way I'm doing it, because I'm having cream, and cream has a very small amount of carbs. Some cheeses have a small amount of carbs. And actually, some meats have some small amounts of carbs. Oysters are actually kind of high in carbs, which is really, really disappointing. I think there's like 2 carbs per oyster. When you only get 20 carbs in a day, that, if you have a half a dozen oysters, then you've really, But anyway. So my week... So, carnivore, basically it's just you only eat animal products. For me, it's animal products. So meat, eggs, dairy, butter, that's dairy. And coffee, which is not an animal product. And last night, so I've eliminated all of the vegetables or things from plants, which means I've eliminated alcohol this week. And, I don't have to drink every day, but I've eliminated alcohol this week. And until last night, Dennis got a new shipment of wines. He goes to a place called Last Bottle, and they have good wines at cheap prices, but they only have little bit of them, because they're like, this is the end of our stock here, you guys sell it, kind of a place. But they ship, and so he got a Chardonnay, which I typically don't like a Chardonnay. I'm not a fan of the Chardonnay grape necessarily, and they have stopped doing it as much now, but that oak that they were doing forever just gagged me. So I never order a Chardonnay ever. But he liked Chardonnay, and he thought this sounded good, and so he got it, and it was good. I enjoyed it. So, while the Chardonnay grape is not my favorite, I can still enjoy Chardonnays if they are interesting and flavorful, and this one was good, and so I had a small glass of that yesterday, and so I was seeing if it affected me today, and it seems like not. So it's been a full week, and I lost 8.2 pounds. Now most of that, at least half of that, was water weight, because I had been having too many carbs, and so I was retaining water. But I'm feeling really good about that, and it's easy for me to do because I'm not hungry. I'm never hungry. You eat, meat, and basically it's like you eat the carnivore diet is you eat animal products. When you're hungry, you eat till you're comfortably full. And then you don't eat again till you're hungry. And when you're hungry again, you eat till you're comfortably full. And as it turns out, you know, I'm eating really once a day. I eat in a short window of, you know, because I'm getting up earlier and the way it's working, I'm eating between 3 o'clock in the afternoon and 6 o'clock at night. So I have a 21-hour fast, and then I have an eating window of like 3 hours. And that's what I'm doing, and it's working, and I'm going to continue doing that. I have about 25 more pounds I want to lose. So we'll see how that goes, although, as I've said a million times, losing the weight is actually kind of the side effect. I'm trying to forestall dementia with my diet and all the other good health effects, but losing weight is the easy way to measure how you're doing when you're overweight, which I still am. But when you're on a keto diet or a carnivore diet, your body burns ketones, which are a product of the fat conversion, and so you're burning fat rather than glucose, which is conversion of the carbohydrates. So I have I can do a blood test. We have a little meter at home, do a blood test and test my ketones, and my ketones have improved considerably this week. So that makes me feel good. I'm sitting here wiggling my earrings. Oops, this side is where the camera is. So these they're kind of sparkly. It's hard to tell that, I guess. And the beads encased in clear, which also may be hard to tell, on a seed bead string. It's actually a string, so it's, you know, makes them very, very bouncy. I made this earring in white, glittery and encased in white, for Allison for her wedding party. So I made these beads, and I made the earrings, and I made the sweater. Yeah, for some reason the house was feeling chilly this morning when I came down, so I actually went back up the steps carefully, very carefully, on my knee. I mean, not on my knees, but, you know, I was careful with my knee, because I'm like, yeah, I'm chilly, I want a sweater. And I have them, and I have gotten so little use out of my summer sweaters this year that it's a shame. So I did want to take advantage of being chilly so I could wear a sweater. And Dennis is sleeping, so I couldn't ask him to get it for me. And I'm not sure I would have, because how would I tell him how to find what I wanted in my pile? So anyway, so that's where we are today. Doesn't look like it's going to be a lovely day. Dennis had to walk the dogs by himself yesterday again. My knee is being my knee. I'm icing it. I guess next week I'll figure out a physical therapist and make an appointment. I do have some phone calls to make today. Maybe I'll call the doctor today and get a recommendation. I have to call Michelle and remind her she was going to clear our gutters and power wash the house. But the gutters are the most important part, because the water is coming, you know, we've been having rains and it's just coming over the sides. And so, you know, we're getting some water in the basement, which is always a drag. I have to call her, and then I got a message that I have to return a call. So I have some phone work to do today. And otherwise, that and knitting, because I probably won't be walking the dogs. And it makes it hard to, you know, I need to vacuum, but I'm not going to vacuum. With my knee. I'm going to ice my knee. I'm going to take my pills. Oh, I have to take my pills. And, but I'm not wearing the brace. Oh, I did what I said I was going to do yesterday. I put on my wool socks and rolled them down all the way. I really look like a Bobby Soxer now. and I'll see how they feel today. But some of you said that you wear your wool socks, wool shorties in the summertime with no problem. And, you know, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that's probably the case. There's a reason people make shorties, and it's not because it's winter, I don't suppose, but I don't really know. So we will test these out, but so far so good. Although it's not the best test if I'm chilly and want to wear a sweater. If I'm chilly and want to wear a sweater, why not wear wool socks, right? So, but I will continue with my test and see how it goes. So anyway, I keep talking. Thank you for joining me for coffee this morning, or this evening, or this afternoon, whatever it is where you are, or tomorrow morning, Megan and Malcolm. And, oh, what did I write down? I wrote something down. I'll write things down or I don't remember them. When I was talking to Megan and Malcolm, we were talking about my sneakers and not wearing flip-flops. And of course, they don't, I don't know if you all call your sandals where you just, you know, go between your toe and you did, and they, you know, we call them flip-flops. When I was a kid, we called them thongs, but of course that's changed to a different meaning now. And I had a friend who called them Zoris. Well, Megan said when I was talking about flip-flops, Malcolm was there yelling at me, no, they're jandals, they're jandals. So apparently they're called jandals in New Zealand. I had to write it down, jandals. And Malcolm wears jandals. Well, Malcolm, you can't wear them if you tear your meniscus. I'm warning you now, so take care of your knees. Although I didn't do anything. All I did was go down in the 2 steps to get to the garage. I really didn't. Although, you know, I turn when I get to the bottom of the garage, so maybe something about the way, I don't know, I turned. But I turn when I get to the bottom of the steps here too, because, you know, otherwise I'll just run into a wall. So I don't know. Anyway, if you want to keep wearing your jandals, Malcolm, take care of your knee. That goes for all of you, because this is a drag. But I'm not going to whine about it anymore. Okay. I will say goodbye. This is getting really long now. Talk. I hope you have a wonderful Friday. I hope you have a great weekend, but I'll be here tomorrow as per usual to give you my brain dump. I wish you all well. I hope everyone's safe and healthy. And I will talk to you tomorrow. So stay safe and stay sane.